back to the ARKAST podcast. You know, we were supposed to work on the name before we had the second episode, right?
Yes,
So it's like
the
ARKAST
ARKAST
podcast for
podcast.
podcasters of podcasting while they podcast.
About podcasting.
About
yes.
podcasting.
Everything like that.
I think it's
Something
catchy.
like that. Yeah?
Yeah, what's wrong
It'll
with
catch
it?
on. No, it'll be the
There can be an
yeah.
acronym.
You got a great
Definite,
acronym.
yeah.
Yes, for sure.
There you go.
Just hold the P down on your keyboard and let it go. So anyways, we've got people with us.
Yes, we do.
Yes, would you like to introduce them?
Yes, absolutely. Or I'll let them introduce themselves. And
All right. Let's, I guess, do it like we usually do.
I'm Lacey.
No. I'm Lacey.
I'm Ashley.
And we're United States of Murder, the podcast.
Awesome.
I'm excited to hear about your podcast. Can you tell us about how you two found each other?
Oh, boy.
I found Lacey on Instagram.
She slid
Sent
into
her a
my
message, slid into her DMs, and was like, hey, I know I'm a stranger,
Mhm.
but I would like to talk to you about murder at a bar. Do you want to come meet me? And she was like, yeah, sure.
Like, of course.
And we talked for like an hour and left there with,
Yeah.
with
3
our plan.
episodes
Yeah,
planned.
planned.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh. So how did you know that she was going to talk about murder?
well, she followed someone that I followed on Instagram, and then I started following her Etsy shop, and I saw that she was making stickers for these other podcasts that I listened to. So I knew she was into the whole murder thing.
Yeah.
So that's it. Then I was like, hey, I know this is not typical questions in your DMs probably, but
And I was excited.
so there. That's how we
Yeah.
met. There's no big.
Yeah, that was 2020?
Yeah, right after we got out
Yeah.
of lockdown.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
I guess that's a good time to do it. And a
Mhm.
lot of people were listening to podcasts.
yeah,
during
well
that time.
that's
yeah, we
how
were.
that's
Yeah.
how I started listening to podcasts. My sister was like, I know you like all the Dateline and all the things, so there's these podcasts you might be interested in. I'm like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
listen. And then I'm like, where has this been my whole life? And also, I can do this. And
Yeah.
Lacey's going to help me.
So you started listening and producing your own show in the same year,
Yeah.
2020?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And we had no idea.
We were clueless.
No
Yeah.
clue what to
Awesome.
buy, how to
Okay.
set it up, how to edit,
Yeah.
and
So I was going to ask, what is your background? Because I know with Karen, you know, she's got a background in journalism. And so did you guys have any kind of background that helped you at all in forming this type of stories that you're covering or recording at all?
no,
No? You're just like, I'm going for it.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
rip the Band-Aid
Yeah.
off, and
Yeah.
it's been fun. I
Yeah.
think we do pretty good.
Yeah, for people who
We did
aren't
pretty
tech
good.
savvy, quote unquote, I guess.
Yeah, we literally just like ordered a bunch of shit on Amazon. And can I cuss? I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry. Sorry.
Oh boy.
We just ordered
Let loose.
all
Get
the
camera
stuff,
on you, let it all
Don't
all
fly.
the
tell her
stuff
that.
on Amazon, and just like set it up and figured it out and made
We
it
did
work.
have a lot of returns.
But
Yeah. You got to figure out what works for you
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
doesn't. For people who don't know, can you talk about the concept behind your show?
So basically, we each cover a case in a different state of the U.S. So each episode is a different state. Let's say Arkansas was our first episode. I covered an Arkansas case, she covered an Arkansas case, and then each episode is a different state. So we've done 2 seasons now completely.
Mhm.
We've done every state twice.
hmm
We've done D.C. once.
Has it just been 2 seasons?
Yes, but there's a lot of states.
Oh, God.
There's a
Oh,
lot.
we didn't do DC this time.
I know, but it was just too much. Sorry,
Okay.
DC.
Sorry,
So
DC.
every season you're doing all 50 states?
Yes.
at
Yes.
least one. Okay.
Mhm.
So you got
Yes.
101 episodes? Is that what it is?
Well, we have more than that because we also started doing Wacky Wednesdays.
Pull your phone out. Let's see how many episodes we have. We have a lot.
I think it's 133.
Because we
actually.
also would do like specials
Interviews, yeah.
and interviews
we
with
do have
other
some
people.
interviews, yeah.
I
So
think that's how I found you, because when I was, before I started building this database of like how many Arkansas podcasters are there, like you were just asking, how many are there in the state? There's tons, it turns out.
crazy.
But there's never been like a database or anywhere that you could find who's all reproducing in the state.
Okay.
And so I had to find it by just going into each podcast platform and being like, produced in Arkansas. And like I would
Really?
get a whole bunch of them pulled up, but like sometimes, that's why I didn't know if you guys were actually here or not, because you would have you cover each state, right?
Yeah.
So like Arkansas's episode would pull up, but I was like, okay, so are they producing here though? Or are they just covering a crime that happened here in the state? Because you might as well be in Oregon. I don't know. You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
idea.
True.
Yeah. So
Lacey's our producer and our editor.
it's pretty exciting that you're right here in the state, though.
Yes,
Yes, we're glad to have you in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Always been here, long-time residents.
I grew up in Memphis and moved here in like high school. So
Okay.
and then I've been here back and forth. That'll always be my home, though. I love Arkansas, but
Memphis, you count that as a state, or?
no,
Okay,
that's
okay.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I get you. Okay. All right.
Yes, that's a state.
'Cause I moved from
Mark
Memphis
it
to
down.
Arkansas, so I was like,
That's the state, the
Yeah.
state of Memphis.
That's the next one you cover.
That's we're coming back, season 3 with the state of
That's
Memphis.
right.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm born and raised in north central Arkansas around Cotter, kind of
Okay.
bebopped around, went to college in Russellville at Tech,
Oh, wow.
lived in Bentonville for a while. My husband went to med school in North Carolina, so we moved there for a few years. Then he got into residency in Little Rock. We moved here, and that's where we're staying. That's the...
You better.
Yeah,
If you
we're
move, I have to
staying.
move.
We plan on staying, yeah. So, very Little Rock local podcast, even though we cover other states.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah. We would have absolutely invited you last year if I had known that you were
No
here in the
biggie.
States.
We had
you
no
know.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I happened to find Karen like right before the convention was going to happen last year, and I was just reached out. I was like, she's not going to want to have anything to do with this, but I was like, I reached out, and she was like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, oh great, thank you.
That's what I've found about the podcasting
Yeah.
community is it's made up of a lot of really nice people. Like usually if you say
Yeah.
come in for an interview or I want to do a promo swap, people are like, yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It's been a good experience, I think.
And some of the issues that we were covering during the workshops and everything that we did last year, and what we continually get asked even after, is how do you start a podcast? Or like people say, hey, I've got an idea for something, I just really don't know how to get it off. So I'm really impressed that there's so many people in Arkansas like you guys who are just like, you know what, I'm going for it. I don't have any experience in this. I don't have any media experience or journalism or anything, but I'm pretty passionate about the subjects. And I can put something together because I've listened to enough podcasts to know how this goes
Right.
and how I can put some originality in there.
Right.
So I guess, what was that journey like for you as far as like putting together your podcast? You've listened to some and you had the idea to put it together. You reached out to her apparently at a bar. Dark bar.
It
Slid into
pretty
her
sunny,
DM.
actually.
Yeah.
Good windows.
Yeah,
Good
which is
windows.
how most of your stories probably started off. But
Exactly. It's
yeah.
like, don't be alarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a stranger that met you online, and now I'm trying
It was
to
a public place.
get you to a bar.
Yeah.
We literally just were winging it.
Well, you had the idea of the concept.
Yes.
It was your brainchild.
But I feel like when we got together and discussed and were talking, we definitely fed off each other's ideas. And what do you think about this? Well, what if we tried that? And we still do that.
Yeah.
Like we
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about it on the ride here, just different things that we're working on now.
Mhm.
So,
Very
and what's the
cool.
worst that can happen? You fail? I mean,
I know.
what?
It's
No one's going to come to your house and
There's
beat
no
you up.
overhead.
Right.
It's zero cost.
We're not
So,
paying
like,
anybody.
So it's your energy and time, and probably learn something from it even if you
Yeah,
fail.
and it's fun. It's fun. You get to hang
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
and we always have drinks. And
Yeah, we do.
Lacey
It's
has
fun
to
and it's
edit
dark,
all
but-
the stuff out.
Just half.
Yes.
It does seem like it takes a lot of research. When I listen to your
Yeah.
episodes, I think, oh my goodness. And you even list all your sources. How long does it take you?
I don't think I've ever actually kept track of how long it takes. Some are easier than others.
Yes.
Some cases have. We run into this a lot with cases from like the 50s or 60s or 70s.
There's no pictures, or there's
If
one
it's
picture.
not a big case,
Yeah.
there's not a ton out there, so you really rely on like just a couple of sources.
Mhm.
But sometimes that's easier because if you pick a case that's more recent or more popular, quote unquote, there's a million resources and you kind of have to go through all of them to make sure you're getting the right information because sometimes it's not all the same. That's why sometimes we'll even say, according to this person, but it's
Yeah,
not.
there you go.
I could not
Yeah.
confirm that,
Yeah.
so I don't
Right,
know.
right,
We're
right.
not
Don't come for
journalists.
us.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah, don't sue
we're-
us.
Yeah, we're not
We're
journalists.
speculating.
We're just
Yeah.
trying to relay the information as best as we can, and We mess up sometimes, but we try
And
to
people
correct
will
it.
let us know.
Yes.
I was just going to ask them.
Yes.
So people email, and
Yes.
it's good that they're emailing. That means they're very involved in the show.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
We get some funny emails.
We do.
Some
good
are
ones,
good.
though. Some really good ones.
Some are really good. And
It's
then we
fun
get-
meeting people who listen. And
Yeah.
are passionate about it.
Yeah.
We learn
And-
about a lot of new cases that way, too, through people telling us
Okay.
about things
Yeah.
in their states.
And we've had victims
Yeah.
email us
Mm.
that either it's their family member that this crime happened to, or they, 6 degrees of separation, it happened in their hometown, or
They knew
the
them.
one, I forget which one it was, and I don't want to misspeak, but was the girl that got away. Remember, she
Yeah.
emailed us, and then we got a cease and
Yeah.
desist
Oh, wow.
from her attorney. That's like, this case is still ongoing.
She was very
Oh.
kind about it. She was very, yeah.
very kind about
She's
it.
just kind of like, hey,
This is
yeah.
still ongoing,
Yeah.
and we still have people of interest,
Mhm.
so
Mm.
maybe don't talk
Mhm.
to my client anymore.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
she reached out to us, lady. But it's interesting, though, because when you report on all of the stuff that you read and you record all these things, I feel like part of you disassociates with, this is a person
Mm. Yeah.
that has a mother or a sister or a best friend. So when those people do reach out, it kind of
Oh, for sure.
gut checks you, and you're like, okay. So we
Mhm.
always do very much try to be respectful of
Mhm.
everybody involved, because like, how would you feel if that was your sister or your mom or your
Sure.
dad, or
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
but it's very very lengthy in research.
Yeah.
I bet. It seems like it. Your episodes are great, and they
Thank
seem very
you.
well researched.
Thank you.
And you have a Patreon, is that correct?
Yes.
How's that going?
It's going well. It's been
Lacey
fun.
does all that too. She's the woman of the hour.
We do a monthly episode, and it's typically a little more fun.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's not always about true crime. There's a Ask Ashley segment sometimes, or just kind of more
Silliness,
rants,
yeah.
more silly, or topics that, like, for example, one time we did what was it?
Murders behind the music or
Murders
something.
Behind the Music, like themes, I guess,
Mhm.
more so. Or very weird things that aren't necessarily murders, like you love a demon possession
I
story.
do love a demon.
Anyone that
possession.
listens knows she loves a demon
And
possession
Lacey's terrified of
story.
aliens.
I was going to
Oh.
say, aliens
Like-
do come up in your
Yeah.
podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So.
She believes in everything. I believe in nothing.
I believe
It's
in
very-
everything. Everything. So that's always super
Yes.
fun. So we do maybe more cryptid stuff and
Yeah, we do that sometimes.
things
for
like
sure.
that on the Patreon.
Okay.
hmm
But the Wacky Wednesday that we just started is super fun. That's been fun.
Yeah, so basically it's a shorter episode midweek that we just talk about crimes that aren't necessarily murders.
Mhm.
Like,
They're more silly.
Yeah.
Like someone arrested for stealing a bunch of fruit, or filling an Easter egg with pornography and putting
Yeah.
them out
That's-
in
yeah.
people's mailboxes.
just weird things that happen.
That is pretty strange.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. And for those who don't know what Patreon is, there's a lot of people that are getting into this, and we get asked all the time. It's like, how do you monetize your content, and actually get paid this, where it's like it's a job, right? So you're putting all this work and energy into
Mhm.
it. How do they make some sort of form of money, like what you guys do is Patreon, right? So
Mhm.
it's a
Right.
paid service. Obviously, that money goes to you. Patreon takes a little cut, a little slice of the cheese, of course. But in
Yes.
return, you're giving them some extra content. Maybe,
Mhm.
like you said, a monthly episode, various subjects. So they're getting the extra content,
Right.
other than what they're just getting for free on the podcast catchers.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
So yeah. So very
And they'll
good
get
way.
early episodes,
Yeah.
or episodes will
Ad-free.
come early, ad-free, and
Mhm.
And some merch and
I was
that
gonna
kind
say,
of
what
thing.
else do they
Shout
get?
outs
Yeah,
on the
full Lacey
podcast.
merch. That's
Yeah.
really neat.
Get some shout outs.
Do you know
Sure.
the demographics of your audience? Do you know where, who's listening, where they are?
Yes, mostly women.
Mhm.
we really
True
have all
crime
that.
is known
Yeah,
for that,
it's. I think
yeah.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's around 85% women,
Mhm.
female listeners, and I think, oh gosh, our most popular age demographic is 28 to 34. I think
that sounds right.
around that, and and really, I mean, we have the most listeners. Well, wait, no, Texas. We have the most listeners from Texas.
But we're in every state.
Yeah, we're in every state, but yeah.
And like the most random countries we'll get
Mm-hmm.
emails from,
Yeah.
or like we're in their top 10 of their podcasts for this
Okay.
crazy country.
We don't
and
know
we're
how
like,
that
Yeah.
happens.
can
We
they
don't.
listen to us there?
We
I
don't
mean,
know.
no shade, but
Yeah.
It has been fun seeing the
Yeah.
demographics, and you can even see with what we use the cities people are listening from.
Exactly, yeah.
It's fun to do.
Yeah.
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 Where do
Lacey's
you
always
host
like,
your podcast? Oh, I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
I was going to say Lacey's always like, who do you know in this
Right.
state?
Especially in the beginning, I'm
Who
like,
do you
Yes.
know in the state or this
Family
city?
member who's
I'm like,
promoting
I don't
it.
know.
Yeah. That's really neat.
How do you come up with your cases that you cover in each state?
oh, that's tough. We ask
Well,
listeners a lot
yeah.
to send us ideas because people are more passionate about certain cases when they're from that state.
Mhm, of
So we
course.
get a lot of them that way.
Or
honestly.
and there's ones that we've never even heard of that they'll send us,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
read it and we're like, holy shit, this is really good.
Yeah.
How has this not been covered more? Only once have we covered the same
We did once.
case.
We didn't know until the day we were recording. That's only happened once.
One time.
But I think normally we kind of try to search for cases that aren't the most popular.
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's usually why we don't cover
Yeah.
the same case. But we no Ted Bundy, no
Right.
you
Not
know
the big ones, yeah.
no
That was-
the
that's
ones everybody knows.
we have no new information on
Right.
that.
Right.
So
And that
we can't
was-
offer anything
Yeah, yeah.
on that.
That was like the original concept.
Yeah.
Was we should cover things that, like, we don't want to cover the Casey Anthonys or the JonBenet Ramseys. Nothing against any of those cases, but like she said, we know no more than y'all know.
Sure.
So how many times do you want to hear the same thing over and over again? So
Mhm.
let's try to find the ones that are nobody's talking about
Mhm.
because they're not the typical blonde hair, blue-eyed white girl that got killed and she's rich and all
Yeah.
this stuff. That shit happens and it's sad, but so is this person who was
Yes.
poor and lives in a trailer
Right, yeah.
and wears dirty flip-flops. Like, her story's just as important. So that's really what we try to
Mhm.
focus on, is the lesser known or the ones that just kind of get skipped over
Okay.
or things like that.
Right.
We
And
love
are they case closed, or are they cold cases
All
as
over
well,
the
or
place.
just-
All over.
okay.
And we've done some survivor stories even.
Mm.
Cold case, unsolved, yeah, really everything.
We try to not do children. That was my thing at
Yeah.
the beginning, is
Okay.
I don't want to cut. Every now and then,
It's harder than it seems because
Yes.
a lot of cases, even if it's mainly involving adults, there's
A
a
child,
background
yeah.
or it's kind of hard.
so sometimes that
Yeah.
does happen, but you won't ever hear us just focusing on this
Yeah, we're
child,
Mhm.
something horrible. Because I'm a mother, and that guts me. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to read about it. I know what happens.
Right, right.
I'm not talking about it. You're not talking about it. So we just try to, no disrespect, but I think it's quite the opposite. We want to be
Yeah.
respectful of the parents who
Sure.
and their family members. Like, you
Mhm.
don't need to hear about, you don't want to hear about that. So we cover everything
Mhm.
typically besides that stuff. We don't try
Yeah.
not to do that. Lacey's like, yeah, I know.
I mean, we do. We just, I guess, if I'm covering a case like that, I'm just like, it's terrible. Everything's happened. I'm not going to tell you about it. If you
Yeah.
want to learn more, you can look it up yourself, but I'm not. It was bad enough reading it, so that's that. And then we kind of move on with the case,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
What
Gotcha.
keeps you motivated to do all of this? It seems like it takes you a lot of time, but there's
I don't
I'm
know.
hearing a lot of motivation to get these stories out there.
What motivates you, Lacey? I just like hanging out with you.
Yeah, I mean,
why she
I will
invited you
say, I
on.
think
I
I
just
genuinely
stalked you
enjoy it.
online and
It's
was
all been a
like,
ploy the whole time, just to hang
I
out,
just
yeah.
really single white female this
There you go,
girl
yes.
and
Yep.
want to hang out with her. No, I don't know. I mean, it's fun. I hate to say that because it's sad stories, but we have a good time doing it. I think it's
Yeah.
important to make people aware of.
Right.
Because that's another thing we always try to do, is give tips on.
Yeah, we like doing that as well. Tips on
Like safety?
Yeah.
safety
Yeah.
tips. We should do more of that. That was we
Things
did some
not
videos
to
before
do.
that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I tried to get out of handcuffs,
Zip ties.
and I couldn't, and zip ties, and I couldn't.
Oh, wow.
So allegedly you can, I can't.
But I do feel like the more that you listen to these stories and cases and things, or watch these shows on TV, that you become aware of your surroundings, and something gets triggered in you if you're out maybe, and you're like, oh my God, I remember I heard this story where this
I heard
girl was
about
walking,
this.
and then
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself in that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, you try to. We just want people to be safe.
Especially the survivor stories.
Yes.
I remember you telling me about one girl who she had a blindfold on and she was clenching her face or something, like she was making it as big as possible.
When
or
he was tying
blowing
it.
her cheeks
Yeah.
out. And so when they were tying it and they didn't know, she was able to slip it off because she had been making her face.
Oh,
That's
wow.
so something,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Or the ones that the survivor story that we talked about, where she continually licked the inside of the tape until it got the sticky off, and so she was able to, get. So I mean, it's interesting. So follow us for more survivor tips. No, don't really. Don't put your life in our hands.
don't. No.
I think still practice at home.
Yeah,
Get some
just,
tape and
just
stuff.
get some
Yeah.
tape
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
tonight.
That's what I did with the
Try it
zip
out.
ties, and I just
Yeah.
had marks on my
Yeah,
arms. It wasn't good.
We talk a big game.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for Arkansans who are out there who want to start a podcast? I love that you didn't have a background in production. Tell us about like what you did, what's your hosting company, what kind of software did you use?
Honestly, I watched a lot of YouTube videos of 13-year-old boys because that's who knows everything.
That does
I'm
not sound
joking.
creepy at all, Lacey.
No, but I'm looking at, I mean, it's the truth. They know so much.
They do know.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would just be looking for tutorials. I edit on Audacity, which is totally free.
Yeah.
But I would look up tutorials on YouTube on how to edit out noises or smacking or, just that general thing. Airplanes, which I can't always get because they're flying low over my house, but I try. So, yeah, a lot of preteens and teenagers, they're the ones who know how to do all this stuff. So, hats off to them. But honestly, YouTube tutorials is how I learned how to do most of my stuff.
And she does it all.
Trial and error.
I show up and talk, and we record, and Lacey edits, and she does.
It's
all
not
the
perfect,
stuff.
no, yeah, but yeah.
No, you do great. What do you mean it's not perfect?
Well, I'm just saying.
It's
You can
pretty-
hear a meowing cat every now and then. Hear some
Makes it more
barking.
fun.
So what kind of equipment are you using to record?
Let's see, we use dynamic mics.
Okay.
We kind of have a similar setup
Mhm.
to this. 2 mics on each end of us. We talk across from each other. We're usually reading notes from our computers, or she brings papers in sometimes and
I'm old school.
and crunches them in front of the
Sometimes
mic.
I just like to write my notes like I'm in junior high.
We record on Audacity. We upload through Anchor,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much who distributes everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah, pretty easy from there. Once I got the hang of it, it was easy.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't easy in the beginning, but
A little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
there,
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to equipment. Like we can get the material together pretty quickly. You know what I
Right.
mean? And figure out, oh yeah, I can do this. I can stand in front of a mirror and practice a few times and then get up there and actually do it right. We don't do
Well-
that at all, but yeah, we're very off the cuff and like organic conversations. you
well,
know
the
what I mean?
day we thought we were going to record our first episode, we're ready, and then there's echoing, and we're like, what's
I
happening?
don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
The
Yeah.
first episode is just throw that away. Usually we
yeah.
tried. It took us a long time to figure out just how to record the first episode.
Mhm.
And even when I listened back to the older episodes, I'm like, oh man, we've really come a long
Well-
way. But in the beginning, things
We
that
had no idea what we were
deleted
doing.
those. Those don't exist
Yeah.
anymore. It was so bad.
We're like, we're
Took it
gonna
off.
do this. We're gonna be strangers, and we're gonna record, and we're buying all
We
this
were
stuff.
just,
and
yeah, and then I had to return it all because they were the wrong mics. So I'd recommend buying things with a good return policy.
Oh yeah, for sure. 'Cause you're gonna go through a few of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And have somebody sort of guide you, not just a salesman, because they're going to try to sell you. Here's
Yeah.
a perfect all-in-one kit. Those things suck. Every time you buy one of
Yeah.
those,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
none of it works together. But yeah, I used my, I ran sound live for a band I was in for years, and then I sort of brought that into recording, but I didn't know anything about recording. I mean, it's like I know about SM57s and 58 mics and all that stuff, and running through a soundboard, but like it's completely different because when you're running sound live, you can have the hisses and the echoes and all that stuff happen here and there, and it really doesn't matter. It just feels like it's all part of the show. But like when you're having to record and then make a cohesive message, for people they're hearing a recording of the audio, and they're going to hear the same audio if they come back and listen to it again. So if you have one hiss, one drop, if you cough in the microphone, they're going to hear it every single time.
Take a drink,
right. Yeah,
anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So being conscious about, the what you're doing in the mic.
That is hard.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's another skill you have to learn. But yeah.
Don't touch it.
Don't
Take everything
touch
off
it.
the table.
We mostly
Yes.
just edit that out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We were talking about the rustling of papers. That's me too.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to,
There's
It kinda
still
adds to the
ice
ambiance,
when we
probably, for you
drink.
guys, though, right?
Sorry.
And
Next
it
page.
feels
Well,
like you're stifling through the case
sometimes,
right then.
yeah, and I will say I try to not over-edit it every now and then
Yeah.
if we have a blooper. I don't keep them all in because it would be annoying to listen to.
Sure.
But every now and then I'll keep that in, or just a snippet of the dog barking and you being like, what in the world just happened, or whatever. Every now
Yes,
and then,
her sleep pup.
my animals are a mess. But sometimes, just so it seems a little more, because
Realistic.
we're more casual than a
Yeah.
lot of other podcasts
Sure.
are in the true crime community. So I feel
Right.
like we have a little more leeway to get away with that, but maybe not. Our listeners are like, no, stop doing that.
No. We've
I
had
love
no
the
complaints.
animals in your podcast artwork, by the way.
Yes.
So those are
Oh,
both
thank you.
yours. It's a
Ye-
dog and a cat.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so cute. How did you think of that idea?
Well, I guess because they were making noises while we were
Yeah,
recording,
that's
and then
amazing.
I'm like, I'm sorry, that was my cat. And we try to, and a lot of times Ashley will stop and then start talking, and then as soon as she does that, my cat will meow, and it's just like,
I think he does it on purpose.
You're along for the journey. with
Yes.
you guys.
and
Yes.
I'm making up a bloopers reel for our Patreon right now, and it has more of that in there, so.
That's
yeah.
funny.
How many members do you have?
I think around 80 patrons so
Wow,
far.
that's
Great.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you've been in this for 2 years, you said? Or about 2
Yeah.
years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks.
Really, that's really an accomplishment.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with our listeners. We get a lot of emails, just people listening to an episode, especially our Wacky Wednesdays we've noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Just people telling us weird things that happen to them. It's just
Yeah.
kind of fun. That part of it is, at least.
Hmm.
Or weird dreams or spooky things that happen to them. Or
No demons yet.
Or-
I keep waiting.
yeah. Or we'll ask, like, what's there to do in Dallas? And people
Yeah.
will mail or email us in from Dallas telling us where to eat.
And they did that last year whenever I went down there. My kiddo was in a training camp at Cowboy Stadium for a week. And so when I would take him to camp, I would go to these places that our listeners
Mhm.
told me about, like haunted restaurants or things. So I would go and
Yeah.
explore a
Okay.
little. So we appreciate them.
Yeah, we really
sending
love
us
our
in. Mhm.
patrons, but just our listeners. It's kind of like our own little community.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very intimate medium, and so they
It
get to know
is,
you
yeah.
and form connections with you.
For sure.
So that's really neat.
Sometimes they're travel guides.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How useful.
We like that.
Sure. Well, your name essentially brought me in, because of like United States of Murder. You know what I mean? That sounds.
Yeah.
But then, like, your artwork's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can make murder fun. Some people find it fun, but like your artwork, like with that, and then like your content was also obviously true crime. That's a
Right.
genre that you have to fall under whenever you're listing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it all sort of added up. So I like your branding. I like it. I like
Thank
the
you.
branding.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Our first season's branding was a little more serious.
Yeah.
We thought that's what
Okay.
we were going to
Yeah.
be. And then
It all fell apart.
our
It all fell
dynamic,
apart,
yeah,
yeah.
we were like, our
Yeah.
dynamic is we need a little more
Color, a little
color
more
in our,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, so I feel like that fits us better.
And Lacey designs all of our stuff. She did all of our artwork and all of our merch and
That is a small background that helps. It's graphic design.
Right,
yes.
It's no production, but
It helps. It
yeah,
helps.
it helps for sure.
Absolutely. It's that first thing that people see in the podcast
Mhm.
app, and it looks great. I really
We were talking about that the other day, and she was like, well, some of these podcasts are using like photos now, and I'm like, no.
No, yeah.
We're
it's
not
bad.
putting
It's
our
just cheesy.
photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just wondering
Well,
if we
this-
should spice it up for season 3 or
Yeah.
maybe a little different, but don't change too much, I don't
Yeah.
think.
We're
Don't put our faces like a photo of us.
That does seem to be what a lot of people
yeah,
are doing.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can Google
But then
this.
you can't use that merch. You know this, graphic designer.
Right.
Yeah.
You're putting on this on all these other different things, T-shirts or whatever it is. You're putting. You can't put.
Exactly.
It's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Shit,
Right.
It's-
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't want a stranger with my face on them.
You might.
I mean, I might.
If
Yeah,
anyone
right.
has someone out there, it's probably you.
Thanks.
They're having a
Also,
couple
you're probably not
listeners.
wrong. Yeah, we've had a couple listeners that I'm like, Lacey,
You can't joke about your dating life.
I
and
know.
Then expect people to
I will
not talk
joke about like
finding a date and then
having bad
people will
dates or
email.
like a serial killer like has been married like 5 times. I'm like, I can't even get a text back, and this guy's been married 5 times, and then I'll get like in the
Flooded with messages,
DMs,
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like,
I'm like, you got to stop.
that's not,
That's
that's
not how it
not what I
works.
meant. It's not, I was just joking. Ah.
Yeah.
So
So what does the future of this look like for you guys? Because this is not your full-time job, right? You're doing
No.
other things. Okay.
yeah,
Correct.
we both have other jobs. This is our
The other jobs.
the
yes.
other job.
The means to an end so that you can do this.
It would be fun to do it
It would be
full-time.
fun to do it
Yeah.
full time. Yeah, 100%.
We're-
I think that would be ultimately everybody's end goal now.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
We just finished up season 2, so we are for sure coming back for a 3rd season.
Great.
Same thing, going through all the states, 2 cases in each one, maybe 1 case if it's too lengthy for one of us
Yeah.
to cover. But
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah, we're
just keep on doing what we're doing.
yep.
Okay. So
Till
you're just
we
open to
make
the
it-
possibility
Yes,
in the future.
yeah,
No
open to
definite-
every-
Okay.
We might even start being on YouTube
Oh boy!
if I can figure that out. Ooh.
Lacey does go on Facebook Live or on
Do that
Instagram
sometimes.
and
It's the same,
and
yeah.
makes us cocktails
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good. People seem to like that.
Yeah.
You always have lots of. I try to tune in at work. It's like I put my phone up and she'll be like, "Oh God, Lacey or Ashley's looking at me, and it's probably gonna be a bad drink." Because I'm very bossy when it comes to my alcohol. Lacey's
Yeah.
like, "Don't hate this, but here."
I thought podcasting meant we were always behind the scenes,
No.
and then the youth is like
The
YouTube.
youth.
It's true. I don't know. I don't know.
Gotta keep up with it.
We
all,
need
I
to.
guess.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah.
to maybe do that.
Yeah, I know.
Get on that.
I know.
So how did you get the word out about your podcast whenever you started doing it? I know you said it took a couple of episodes in order to get the sound right, and those don't exist anymore. But the ones that do exist, and you started actually pushing,
Man.
United States of Murder. How did you get that out there?
How did we?
Did
I
it
don't
just
know.
happen
I think
organically?
just
You put
like,
the episodes
yeah.
out and people found
I
you?
think that and just like word of mouth
Well, just
and
telling all of our friends was a
sharing on our
biggie.
socials.
There you go.
Shamelessly
Yes.
plugging ourselves to our friends and
Yeah.
any strangers that would listen to us.
And we've done a couple crossovers with other podcasts.
Yeah,
and I think that's helped.
Yeah,
too.
we did some shared ads in the beginning, crossover episodes.
Mhm.
I think just mostly social media.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did do a couple of paid ads on Facebook and Instagram,
Mhm.
but yeah, mostly I feel like social media and word of mouth.
Okay. Mostly organic then, reaching
Yeah.
out to, it's just like if you start a small business, you
Yeah,
reach out to
sure.
your friends and
Mhm.
family and everybody else they know. But recommend us to somebody, please.
Tell
to
a friend.
Yes.
Review, rate and
That's a
review.
fun-
Yeah, rate and review.
Yes. All the things I hate
Yeah.
to say. But like you're sometimes when you're doing the podcast and you're starting out, you have to physically grab their phone and be like, here, I'm going to open up your podcast
Yes.
thing that you've never opened before.
Here I
So I'm going to
am.
add me right there. Let's
Yeah,
subscribe.
this is
There's
me.
that. That's right.
Yeah.
Very
Get the
true.
subscribers up and yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you're like,
We're
yeah,
still
I guess.
doing that.
Seems
We
like
still
you-
do the same
Seems like
thing.
you don't know exactly how you've gotten to where you are.
Well,
or what's going to happen in the future.
we don't- I
but
mean,
you're having a lot of fun.
we're having
Just
fun.
rolling with it.
We're
I
rolling with
think.
it.
Yes.
And I mean, just we do the same. We've not changed anything that we've done since the beginning. You know, we talk
Yeah.
about it to people.
Maybe
and
evolved and
Yeah.
kind of
Gotten better
changed
at it. Yeah,
organically,
sure.
but
Yeah.
not like nothing big.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think besides great content, I think consistency is key.
Mhm.
And you are consistent with, releasing
Yeah,
your
I do think that
episodes.
is a big thing. Of course, with COVID and just other things, sometimes we haven't been able to put out a weekly episode,
Mhm.
but
We generally try to record in advance, like if she's on vacation or if my kid's got sports coming up and we
Okay.
know, like spring break
Mhm.
or over Christmas, we try to get ahead of it so it will still be released. Because I know how I feel when I don't hear the ones I want to listen to.
Yeah. And in a pinch, we've even done a Patreon mashup.
Yeah.
Like the best of Patreon. So we get a bunch of clips together, compile them, and release it as an episode. Like, hey, if you want to join us on Patreon, this is what it sounds like.
Okay.
And then the patrons are like, don't give that to them for free. No. but it's still an episode,
Sure.
even
Yeah.
though it's not new.
But almost
it's
like a
still,
trailer for the rest
yeah,
of the
it's like
show.
at least we're giving someone something, instead of nothing kind of thing.
Instead of nothing.
Yes.
It sounds like you have some great marketing ideas implemented. Do you have any advice for Arkansans wanting to start a podcast, or things some of the really big things that you've learned?
It's hard to tell somebody else, like the things that you guys, like you started with, the technical stuff, the coming up with your show, and like you've been through a lot of different things, right? So like
Yeah.
there's nothing.
It's hard because it's like
It's hard.
we're
yeah,
the
it's
ones
hard
that
to
want
relate
advice.
people.
You know what
You're
I
like,
mean?
"Here,
Right.
don't do this. This is going to save you a lot of problems." you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
it's more so trial and
It is trial
error.
and
error.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't, because a one-person podcast totally different than a two-person podcast.
Of
So
course.
I feel like I can't
Or
give
4 people
advice.
behind a tiny table.
Yeah, so it's really kind of hard
What?
to give
Yeah,
advice.
don't know anything about that.
I guess.
And
just-
also your subject matter is totally different too, because
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what other podcasts talk
yeah,
about.
so
like,
it's kind of difficult. I would just
Yeah.
say practice and be consistent. Seriously, is the big thing. Consistency and getting the right equipment.
and don't listen to us because we don't know what we're doing. We're still winging it
No,
too.
they should definitely listen to you. They should definitely
Yeah.
listen to you.
We're winging it all the way around.
Maybe our advice is you can wing it.
Yes,
Mhm.
just go for it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think if nothing
Oh,
else,
that's
it's
Nike
encouraging
has
that you
that.
just started on your own.
TM,
Yeah.
TM.
No background. You just
Right.
started in and got into it.
Mhm.
And so, and there's also tacit knowledge to be learned there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
things you really know how to teach, but like people, it's coming off. You know, people
Yeah.
are learning from you, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, thanks.
That's us.
Yeah, that's us. Karen, do you have any other questions?
No, I've really appreciated you
Well,
coming
thank you,
in
guys.
and
Thank
talking
you.
about your podcast. I've
Yeah.
learned a lot from you, so yeah.
Well, thank
really
you.
deserve
We
it. And
appreciate
you have
that.
a great chemistry. Your show is so great, I think, too, because.
And we really do
there's
just
some
kind
true
of hang
personalities.
out when we're recording, and we take breaks and go outside and
Yeah.
that
Make
kind
another
of thing.
drink.
Yeah.
Gossip about our friends. I come in from work and throw all my stuff down,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I need a drink. Let me tell you what happened today.
So
So
it's-
that's our
yeah.
first hour, and then we record.
It's kind of our outlet too for
Yeah.
it's serious subject matter, but I feel like we both want not to lighten it on purpose, not to lighten it to make it seem less severe, but to make
Right.
it. We don't just want to bog people down even more than they already are, because we like listening to true crime, but we don't want to be depressed afterward.
Right. I don't want to turn it off and
So-
want to throw my toaster in my bathtub.
Yeah, so it's just
Mm-mm. So I like, yeah.
yeah, we try to find a balance. I feel like is our
yeah.
big thing.
That's a good point to make, is that if you're going to be doing a show with multiple people, more than one, right? It's more than yourself. Maybe sometimes with yourself. Make sure it's with somebody that it's amicable and like you really have good rapport with them, and like you can actually get along outside of the show. I've seen like the ones that are like two direct opposites, and like they're staunchly, I'm gonna die on this hill.
Oh,
one-
yeah.
one way or another, and like those never work out because outside it, off the air, you know, what I mean, you're gonna have a fallout or something's gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, having an actual genuine friend like you have, it's awesome. So, but it turns out she's been baiting you the whole time.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it can work if you're a stranger, I guess. Because that's what people can-
Just
Yeah.
get in there. You don't have to know them. Just pick them up at a bar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's great advice.
But there
Yeah.
are
Yes, cut that out.
there are some friends who I would not have a podcast with.
Yeah, no, they're fun to hang out with, but I also think that it's important to have like trust too, because like I know that I can depend on her and trust her to make sure stuff is edited and that it's uploaded correctly and that she's going to get it done, you know what I mean, and not be like sidetracked and not, you know, just like I'll do it later or whatever. And also like with our buy me a drink or our Patreon, I mean there's financials in that too, and Lacey takes care of that too, and it's like I trust her to handle the money. I know she's
Yeah.
going to do the right, you know what I mean, like, so I think not only being able to get along behind the scenes, but also to have that trust with,
Yeah.
you know, that you can, or if there's ever a time that like she can't record or I can't, there's never been an issue where
It's
one,
just not a big deal.
right,
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
It's not.
Do whatever you need to do. It's totally cool.
Mhm.
So besides Patreon, you also have, I saw the
Mhm.
Buy Me a Coffee, only you've changed it to Buy Me a Drink.
Buy me a
Yes,
drink.
That's just a little more fun, and then people can give us suggestions for the drinks.
That's
or
always fun.
Do a shout out. Those are
Mhm.
kind of fun too. Yeah.
All right.
Don't slurp
Yeah,
in your
that's great.
mic.
Those are great
Sorry,
noises.
you
I
know.
love it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'll add some
White trash
effects.
over here.
Wrinkling, passing
Yeah.
balls. So besides your Patreon, where else can they find you?
Anywhere.
Thank you.
We're on.
Okay.
We're on. No,
Anywhere.
we're on
Yeah.
everything.
All right,
I
didn't
mean,
say it all.
we're
Yeah, it's all
Apple.
We're available on, so it's United States of Murder on Apple, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify,
Not
All the things. Anywhere
YouTube.
you
not
catch Spotify.
maybe
Yet.
YouTube soon. Wherever you listen, except
Yeah.
YouTube, we'll be getting there. And
So we have Instagram. We have a Facebook page. We have a Patreon only Facebook page.
yeah, we do.
So you can find us if you
can
want
find
to.
it. Just
You
put
can
it in
find
there.
us.
Just
Just
you
search
can
the-
even
the-
Google us.
Yes.
We're there.
United States of Murder. I'm
Yes.
sure it's not going to pull up anything.
If you want to slide into Lacey's DMs, she would probably meet you at a
Oh my
bar.
God.
No,
You just talked about how you don't want
that's
that. Now you're
not.
putting it on her.
No.
But don't steal her from me.
Well, on Facebook, we're US of M podcast
Yeah.
because we couldn't use murder in our name.
And where?
In Facebook.
Facebook.
On
They
Facebook,
wouldn't let
they
us
don't
use
know.
the word
Can't say
murder.
Zuckerberg lets everything else fly except for
No,
that.
it could not be
Damn.
United
That's where
States
he
of
draws the
Murder.
line.
So it's
All
US
the
of
terrible
M.
things
Yeah.
that
US
I've
of M
seen.
podcast.
Yeah, US of M podcast.
Instagram let us. So.
Yeah, Instagram don't care, girl.
And Twitter. But
It's the same company. It's so weird.
I know.
Anyway.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
tweet us?
Sometimes I'm not a big tweeter, so
Oh, well.
Yeah,
but we're there.
I get it.
Do you guys tweet?
We do.
Are
We
y'all
have,
big
we have
tweeters?
Twitter.
Twitters?
Yes, and so
What
we
are they
get on
called?
there.
Twatters? I don't know. What
Twatters?
I don't know
That's a
what
different
it's-
site. That's a different site.
Oh God.
See
See what I'm editing out.
Yeah.
She's like, can't say that.
It's a lot of work for me. Yeah. It's like I don't know, a huge landfill with all the tires that are on fire. That's what Twitter's like.
Yep.
But yeah, we still put stuff out there.
Well, my friend showed me some tweets once, and I was like, you can't. Your door's about to be
Yeah.
kicked in by the FBI if
Yeah.
you look at that again. He's like,
Yeah.
no, it's on here. It's look. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
So whenever
It's so easy to
wondering
offend
about the
everybody and
the
anybody
tweets.
on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
because it all goes right. Anything goes.
Well,
like
their
they
opinion
don't.
is what matters.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not on there enough
Yeah.
to know.
Oh, well, maybe you should.
I just reshare
I
it
just
and
said
go
you did
on my way.
752 jobs for this podcast.
But not
Add
as much
tweeting
Twitter.
to that.
So
So-
you can also find us on Twitter. Yeah, I know, right? On all the social media platforms, including LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter. Have not set up a TikTok. I don't know how you guys feel about that. So, a lot of podcasts do
It's
that.
on our to-do list, but I'm not a big TikToker. I used
Yeah.
to be, but it's a time suck. So I
It-
haven't been on
yeah.
it in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on our to-do list. but-
Okay.
We need to find a youngster to help us with all of this.
An intern.
Yes, a
We-
free intern.
Yes.
That's yeah.
Oh boy.
So
If Max was a little older.
he's
13, around 13. Is that what you said?
well.
Watching videos.
He's 9, so we have a long. Hopefully,
Yeah,
yeah. But he
yeah.
could. But he
Couple more
probably.
seasons,
He
he'll be
can.
ready to
go.
But he
Yeah.
already shows me stuff. I'm like, how did you
Yeah.
even sign up for this? He's like, oh, well, just go here and all. I'm like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
So
They know how to get around it. They're raised around it.
they're
Yeah,
very
exactly.
smart.
That's
Yeah.
why they're so good at it.
Yeah, for sure. If you're an audio listener, you can find us on YouTube by searching for ARKAST. You can also find us on all of the podcast collection platforms, but you can also find the videos from the convention from last year where lots of people showed up. And we had all of our speakers recorded separately, and you can watch those online.
You can go to the convention in the comfort of your own
That's
home.
right. Whenever we have that planned, we were looking at dates last night, and it was like, oh, man. So you kind of have to schedule around the Arkansas Razorback schedule.
Oh no.
Yes, because if you don't,
Boy.
you'll never have
It's
anybody at your
Arkansas.
event.
Right.
Especially since a lot of them come from Northwest Arkansas, you know what I mean? It's
Oh,
just like tried and
true.
true home. They have to stay there, and I don't know I don't know. I'm not a sports person. I don't get it. I know there's social identity disorder, and you know what I mean? If you tie all your feelings and emotions
Right.
and self-worth into a football team, I don't understand it all. But
Well,
some people dig it.
I do that
Yeah.
with each different team my child plays for.
Yeah.
I'm the
Oh,
biggest,
we got
the
investment
biggest
there.
fan
Yeah.
of I've been every
You have a
sports.
genetic investment
Yeah,
in there.
yeah. So
Well, we hope to see you at the convention this year.
yeah,
We'd love to go.
We'd love to go.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely keep you guys in mind and
We'd
keep
love
you
to.
informed on what's there. Now that I know that you're here.
Yeah, we're
in
here.
Arkansas. You're here.
We're just
We're
down
here.
the road.
Literally down the street.
Very cool. And until next time, you want to say bye?
Yes, thank you for stopping by. I'm Karen Stewart with Power of Pod. We've had a great time today with Ashley Pate and Lacey Olson. Want to say your name, Ty?
I can. You're doing such a great job. I mean,
And
it's
then
like,
there's Ty King with American.
it's kind of like Lacey a while ago when you introduced
I was like,
yourself.
I'm
it's
Lacey.
Like, okay, cool. You
Yeah.
can be. Yeah.
There you go. You can be whatever you want to be in the podcast.
Karen's got that
This is
radio
true.
voice. You know what I mean?
She
Yes,
does.
yes.
She does.
I'm loud and obnoxious, and she's just, she's got the
See? That's us.
Yeah.
I'm
I
loud and
noticed that
obnoxious.
dynamic. I was like, I see how we're doing here.
Yeah.